Hello, good day. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis, and welcome to my art channel. Today, I'm starting off with a gathering of some of my recent paintings. Gonna liberate them from their pads and make some fresh space for some new paintings. You can go ahead and skip to about a minute 12, minute 20 if you want to see the new painting for today. But if you are interested in what we've been working on collectively for the past couple of months now, here's a little show, a small mini little gallery of some pieces. Let me know which one's your favorite in those comments below. Always curious to hear your opinion. Please let me know. My personal favorite is the bottom left, but I don't pick favorites. We move on to the new painting. Little speed up, little setup speed up here. Unique thing for this video, the new thing I'm trying out here is 2 paintings at once. Now, these aren't going to be totally identical paintings, although I am starting with this shared carmine color on both pages. To start with, I have 2 pads that are 6 inch by 8 inch, but they are 2 different types of paper. The one on the right is a rougher texture. It's a cold press paper versus the page on the left is a smooth finish, a hot press paper. And you can see the difference already a little bit with how the brush glides across the page on the left versus it has a bit of a rougher job getting across the page on the right, and it does take a little bit more water. It absorbs a little bit more water, I feel, rather than the one on the left. It just immediately kind of sends the water off, becoming like a slick, oily surface. And following up with this stroke of carmine, you can really see how wet that page already has been versus it just immediately absorbing in on the right. But yeah, going into this, I feel like you can think of this a bit like a couple of chess games going on, where the first few moves are pretty close, almost identical. A few pawns, maybe a rook, but now that we're a few turns in and a new brush has entered the game, I may be doing a few lines on both with the same color, but the expression has become different. It's bleeding a lot more on the right than it is on the left, and I think this is the point where the 2 paintings will permanently diverge. And although I am working between the 2 simultaneously, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth and referencing one and the other of like, how are these colors interacting? Is this going to work on the other side as well? While I'm playing between the 2, I am trying to construct 2 independent paintings that will have a conversation between them by the nature of them having the same brush strokes or the same colors, but not necessarily the same exact structure. I've gone in and started them the same, but as they progress, we're gonna have more and more variations between the 2. Just like now, throwing in some of my favorite diocesan purple and going really hard on the right side versus just a few light strokes on the left and letting it fade away into a bit more of a lightness versus taking the stage and being more of a focal point at the moment on the right painting. little flick of the brush anywhere is good. Something about this painting process that really fuels me. I feel like this is a practice in, I guess, expressing myself and expressing some of that creative intuition, just letting the mind work itself and feel itself, putting down brush strokes and paint wherever they feel like going, rather than trying to paint a picture that somebody has predetermined, whether that's me in my mind or some picture or still life. This is a completely original idea. Although I guess it's not completely original given all the paintings you saw at the beginning of the video. It's in a context of all of the other abstract watercolor paintings that I'm making. They share some similar kind of qualities, and I do hope that as I progress as an artist, you'll see that things will become a bit of, I guess, a style, become a, what you would call the dentist style, whatever that might be. I feel like going into something like this is not, I don't have a predetermined idea of what it'll be, but all of my experience says that it's going to go in a certain direction. And I think we can all kind of agree that even though I'm not painting a specific thing, my paintings feel like they have a communication with each other, that they share some elements, and yet if I were to tell you that I'm drawing people and these are faces just being abstracted and blown out, I feel like it doesn't matter really if I were to say that, because it's not about what it is that I'm painting, it's about how the painting makes you feel. Because for me, I'm pouring in all my emotions, all the baggage of the past week, and it might come across positive, might come across negative. Who knows what I might have been feeling, but the painting itself, taking the force of the brush as I just press down with all of the emotions of whatever it has been. I don't think I need to go in with any particular specifics. I think the most physical exertion I've gone into this week is planting grass seed. If you live in the US, I feel like the US green lawn is something you might very well be familiar with. I feel like I have very contentious feelings about the all-American lawn. I guess it is a bit of a tangent, but I do feel like things like wildflower front lawns, clover front lawns, or even just veggie gardens are much better uses of space. But I digress. Here I am not thinking about the pros and cons of the American lawn, but the physical exertion, the stress, and the thoughts of, well, I'm growing something outside is being incorporated into this painting. Maybe bringing in, like I said last video, bringing in what I'm actually dealing with in my life and what's actually inspiring me could help bring some context into what it is that I'm painting, why it is that I'm painting. Because for me, I think I'm not on a pure kind of creative expression. I always wish that I'm like in this ideal state of like there's no predetermined thing. I'm just naturally going into it. It's like part of my every day to go in and paint, but I don't think I'm totally pure in that regard. I'm not making it every day at this hour, this when the sun is this high. That's the Dennis painting hour. I feel like I do have to push myself at times to make a painting and have myself fully focus on something like this and allow myself to be, I guess, emotionally vulnerable on a paper, since it does feel like something like this is personal to a level, and I don't know, I feel like it is almost my responsibility to share this and be open with y'all, since I mean you're the my main people, my main audience who I'm able to share this work with. But really, what makes it work is that I am putting in time, and I think that I want to put in more time on this stuff and, you know, really make a career out of it. And I feel like those kind of thoughts are a little impure of the straight, like, artistry of I'm doing nothing here but taking water, mixing it with pigment and putting it on a page. Because when you start talking about a career, it becomes, well, I've taken the water, I've put it on the page. Is this a product now? You know? That's, I feel like, a hard point for artists, and why I think it's so beneficial, I suppose, for artists to have like gallery representation and that, to sort of separate the economics from the creative aspect. And probably why some creative industries like video games are a good example, where you can have great artists, but by being in a certain structure, you are inevitably compromising the pure and kind of having to run into, you know, who is hiring the artist. But that is something that we could never escape. I mean, the Mona Lisa was commissioned. I don't think that we would have this most famous artwork in the world if there weren't people that hired artists to do that work. So it's interesting going forward where these thoughts will end up being, where this art and sort of, I guess, my place in our world will end up being. But, you know, thank you for hearing me out and being here as a part of my journey as I sort of navigate this great art world, this great space that I have the opportunity to be a part of. I really, really do appreciate you. Thank you. These two paintings are getting to their finishing kind of touches. You can see now that they've heavily diverged. I feel the right has gone a lot more muddied and blended of colors, and has a certain kind of depth and darkness that the one on the left kind of kept away from, kind of escaped. I didn't add quite as much pigment in some areas, and there's a lightness that has sort of retained itself towards the central kind of core of the painting, and that cadmium yellow in the right that's sort of turned into a bit of an orange is still a bit, I feel, radioactive on this painting, versus it's mixed so much on the right that it's become a bit more muted. And I do feel that I don't know which one I prefer, honestly, at this point. I probably prefer the one on the left, if I were to be honest. But let me know what you think. Number 1 or number 2. 1 on the left, 2 on the right. Which one you prefer? Or if there's something between the two that you've noticed that that'll be cool to hear as well. I'm always up to interpretations of the artwork, and I read every single comment, so please, I'm always curious to hear your thoughts. A couple of close-ups of what we've been working on here, and I think it's time to rearrange them a little bit, play around, and see what kind of conversation these two are having. I'm imagining that they're hanging on a wall or something like that, hanging in a space. What orientation would be the best? Is there one that has them kind of lining up as a unit, or one that has them sharing a couple of marks, or having like a conversation, like a reflection of one another? Yeah. I'm not as big of a fan of the top and down as much as the side by side and portrait. I get a double portrait versus double landscape. That said, trying to flip them upside down, switch them around, and I do like this orientation, a bit heavier in the left. But do let me know what you think. Leave a like if you like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video, next Friday. Have a great weekend. Peace.